morning, everyone. Good morning, Amani. Thank you for you guys here in the sanctuary today. I'm going to knock things over before we even get started. So good morning for coming in today. Good morning to those of you joining us virtually. So today we have a modified ascension with John Dufour. So let's turn it over to them for our starting song.
Every word of every story, every story, every corner of creation lives to testify. For as long as I will testify love, you be a witness in the silence when the words are not enough. With every step I take, I give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify love. From mountains to the valleys, from the rivers to the sea, every hand that reaches out, every hand that reaches out to offer me.
Thank you, Ascension. Always. Oh my gosh, the vibration in here, it's palpable. I always say that when I'm up here because it's true. So welcome, everyone. So glad you're here today. Today's Mother's Day. So yay, happy Mother's Day. We're going to be doing a little thing a little bit later, but I just wanted to say it because we need to honor the mothers. All right. So we are a beautiful, awesome spiritual community, and this is our statement, okay? So our vision statement. So I'm going to ask us all to say it together because the more we say it and the louder we say it and the more passionate we say it, the more it is so. So let's do this. Lighting the path to peace together. Yes, we are. So this is our vision statement. This is what we stand for. This is what we do here at Amani. This is a very special, wonderful, beautiful place. And so I want to talk, this is who we are. It's really hard sometimes when a community is a little bit different than the mainstream. So let's kind of read this together. Those of you out in virtual land and those of you here, kind of follow me as we read this. All right. Our center is a gathering place for spiritual seekers who wish to grow together and expand their consciousness. We believe there is an interconnectedness to all things. The connection is God, the universe, spirit, nature, science, energy. Call it whatever you want. But know that it's one through you, and as you always. Welcome to Amani. Woo! Amani stands for peace, and it is this beautiful space of peace and honoring that peace, that balance, that harmony within us. And one of the ways that we get there, we get there through classes and all kinds of things. You'll get that in the announcements. But one of the beautiful ways that you can manifest this beautiful sense of peace, this interconnectedness, this connection to that higher power, whatever you call it, is through kind of coming together and talking to one of our practitioners. So what we do as practitioners is we connect with you, because there's only the one. Okay, there's no separation, there's only the one. Connect with our practitioners and share with us what you want to shift, change, grow. What is going to bring you that sense of inner harmony, inner peace? So can I have our practitioners, anyone who is here available for treatment, stand up, raise your hand up. Woo! All right, look at this. There's tons of people that you can turn to and come to, because when we pray with you, or when we do treatment with you, we gain something too. So we are very happy, would be honored to do that beautiful, sacred practice with you. So I'd like to invite Marcy, one of our beautiful practitioners, to do the announcements for us.
Thank you, Yuli. Okay, so we're going to run through these announcements, and I'm going to see if the clicker works. Yes, it does. Yay. All right, so here's our schedule for the month of May. Today is the 8th, and we have our wonderful Reverend Pixie Dufour with us. Next week, we have a new speaker. His name is Lucian Baker, and he's a practitioner and a friend of Mitch's, coming highly recommended, so don't miss that. Then the wonderful Reverend Don Appadoni will be here on the 22nd, and then our very own divine Reverend Sherry Wynn on the 29th. So the many manifestations of the divine feminine, that is this month's theme. Show up for these great Sunday experiences with me. Oops, too fast. Okay, so Mitch is doing this wonderful workshop next week at 1:30 after service. Did you want to talk about this, Mitch? Okay, so empowered communication strategies for spiritual people. So that kind of says it all. If you're looking to communicate better and on a higher level, a higher vibrational level, and a more spiritual level, this would be a great workshop to sign up for. And we have our rummage sale and craft sale coming up, and I'm going to ask Kathy up to tell you a little bit about this. Our board president, Kathy Amos Clark.
So I have a flyer made. One of the big outcomes for our craft and rummage sale is to get the word out about Amani. So I would love for you guys to put the word out to your friends and family. We do need rummagers. I said say rummagers, rum people.
Rum runners.
So please collect your items if you'd like to join us. It's $25 to have a table. And then I have a registration form that you could fill out. So if you need help finding that, just text me. My phone number is there. We have these flyers in the back. There'll be other things to sign up for. That's the back table over there. So check that out. Take a flyer. Please share this. Please make copies and share it with your coworkers, with your friends, your neighbors. We need to get the word out. Okay? So I think, do you guys have any questions? It's Saturday, May 28th, a staycation thing to do for the community. So we think it'll be a fun time. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, if you come up with a question, see Kathy afterwards. Okay, and now I'm going to call up Dr. Wadden to tell us about this class that he is teaching, also known as Mike.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. I was just told when I got here, you got 1 minute to wrap it. That's impossible for me to say hello in 1 minute. So this is, my class. I don't know if you can see. The title is I Am Awareness, and it's basically lifting the veil of consciousness. If you have any other questions, I'm available. I am going to Europe on Friday. I won't be back until June, June 5th. The class starts on June 7th, but so you can reach me today. I don't know if they have my phone number, but
Yeah, if you have questions, you can text us or message us at the Amani Center, admin@theamanicenter.org, and
And then, it's going to start June 7th, and we're going to wrap it, I think, June 19th. It's
No,
July 19th.
7 weeks, yeah.
July 19th, sorry, 7 weeks.
All right, it's going to be an awesome class, so do sign up for that. If you have questions afterwards, you can ask Mike about that. All right. Okay, here's a workshop that's coming up led by our wonderful Yuli Lagakas called Conscious Parenting. So this is for the parents out there, and this one particularly is aimed more at the parents of elementary age kids. She's going to come back and do something for older teens at a later date, but this is being able to consciously parent from the heart. Do you want to talk about it, Yuli? My mic's not on.
All right, so conscious parenting is going to be 2 parts. Part 1, there's been so much advancement and understanding of what happens to the brains of littles and what's going on with them and their behavior, and how to, and a shift in our kind of heart-centered parenting. And so looking at how do we connect with these little children? How do we connect? How do we communicate? What are they needing from us? What is how they're acting, really, what's behind that behavior, what's behind some of the things that they do, and how can you touch and connect with your child, because they are still, they're born as little tiny souls, we all are. And so I believe, and the research is showing, that our job as parents is to help them retain that soul sense of self through childhood and onward, because it will be what is powerful and what we know is true about all of us. And so they can carry that into adulthood, and we can change the world that way. So that's the workshop.
Oh, I love that. I wish I had that when my kids were younger. This is really going to be powerful. So please tell people that you know about this class. Okay. Now I've got too much of my hands. Oh, and we already said this. Thank you for silencing your phones. I'm going to welcome Mitch up here to do a little gratitude for moms.
Good morning, Amani. Woo! You know me, I got to get up here, right up on ya. So today's Mother's Day. And we want to welcome and honor all the mothers in the room. And whether you are a mother of a furry child or a stepmom, or you've embodied mom energy, we would like you to honor us by rising. And I have my volunteers come up. We have a little gift for you. Moms in the room, if you could please stand so we can honor and recognize all the love, all the support, all the contributions that you've given to us as a planet, as this body of humanity. Where would we be without mothers? Yes? Yes, we wouldn't be here. And I'm going to help real quick here. Thank you. Whoops, we're dancing here with the flowers. Thank you. Oh, thank you. All right. Almost there. Please stay standing so we get everybody. We got to get our sound, Mother. Yes. Awesome. So now what I'd like you to do, if you are a grandmother, please remain standing. If you are a grandmother, please remain standing. Wonderful. Let's give it up for the grandmothers. If you are a great-grandmother, please remain standing. Wow, great-grandmothers. Do we have any great-greats? Do we have any great-greats? Any great-greats? Wonderful. Okay, one more round of applause. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful Mother's Day. We love you, from Amani.
Thank you, Mitch. That was beautiful. And thank you to all the mothers and the mother energy. This is the month of the divine feminine, and we are just, the mother is a key. You know, like we said, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the mothers, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the mothers. You know what I mean? That's not what I meant. Anyway, so it's time now to take it deep and to take it into our consciousness, into our soul and spirit. It is time to tap into that divine space to honor what we have come here today at the Amani Center to do. So I want you to take a moment, eyes open or closed, knowing that this is a holy place, that this is a sacred space, that in this sacred space we tap into that which is holy within us, and we know, we claim, we bring it up into the light within ourselves. We honor ourselves, we honor all those around us, and we honor this world because we are this consciousness. We live and breathe and have our being in this energy of love and joy and bliss that is the truth of who we all are. And we are blessed beyond measure knowing this truth. So together we say, and so it is. I'd like to invite Tammy, our practitioner for today, to take us into the affirmation.
Good morning. I'm Tammy, I'm your practitioner of the day. And we have our affirmation up here, brought to us by the wonderful and amazing Reverend Pixie Dufour. And we will say it together 3 times. The first time with enthusiasm and conviction. Second time, we'll bring it into a whisper to bring it into our hearts. And please join me mentally for the third time. And if everybody would please stand. Okay. In God, I love and move and have my being. In God, I live and move and have my being. In God, I live and move and have my being. You may be seated and take it away, Ascension. staying in this divine melody and harmony, I invite you to close your eyes or leave them open, sitting comfortably or laying down if you're at home, or standing, whatever you feel comfortable. Just listening to the sound of my voice, taking a deep breath, letting everything go from the morning. And just imagine the Divine Mother. Maybe it's long flowing hair and bright eyes, big smile, opening her arms, inviting you into her heart, holding her close, listening to her heartbeat, the smell of cookies baking in the oven, the sense of calm and peace of a mother's love, unconditional, loyal. She's got your back no matter what. As she wraps her arms around you, knowing that you are safe, comforted, loved, supported, nourished, fed in all aspects of what that means to you. As we honor the mothers of the world today, everywhere, we are honored to be here for children, for babies, just that loving, nurturing love that is spread around the world today. Enjoy your meditation. And as we come back into the room, I invite you to bring to mind someone who might be in need of healing. Maybe it's a mother who has lost a child, or a child who has lost a mother. Maybe it's someone who's not in alignment with what the body is doing right now. Maybe it's your friend, your neighbor, person sitting next to you, yourself, a person, place, or thing that is in need of uplifting, divine mother healing. Sending words of love and wisdom, caring, support, comfort. Imagining it's a stream of yellow light touching their hearts, touching their minds, healing them from within. Knowing that this divine healing is already done, it's already in process. Source knows what the body needs, what the mind needs, what the heart needs. And it is already done. Together we say, and so it is.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of His voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that He gave to me within my heart is ringing. And He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, no other has ever known. And He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, no other has ever known. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. A little bit of a traditional tune.
Ascension Light. Let's give it up for them again. Yeah. And I got to tell you, that was something that I requested today. I love the old traditional stuff every once in a while. We get to hear it. Sometimes it takes us back to where we were. Maybe sometimes, some years ago. Maybe not. But thank you, Ascension, for that. So good morning. I'm Reverend Pixie Dufour. I am honored to be able to serve on the Ministerial Council here. Ministerial Council, meaning we don't have one minister at the top. We have a group of ministers here together that make up this council, and we are open at the top for consciousness expansion. That's what we do here. And yeah, I know you guys keep hearing Happy Mother's Day, but I want to put something out to you for all of you fathers that are out there that, yeah, you guys at home, for all you fathers, and you know who you are, that had to do mommy stuff or loved doing mommy stuff. My father raised me through my teenage years, and I wasn't always an easy teenager. And he raised me, and I loved him dearly. And he was soft, and he was kind, and he was gentle and soft-spoken. And if I was a little out of line, I didn't get yelled at or screamed at, but I got the eye. I got the eye, and it just kind of broke me a little bit, and I would immediately change behavior. And that's all it took. But I'll tell you, Mother's Day would roll around, and I would always be sure that I would go up nice and close, and I would say, "Daddy, Happy Mother's Day. You've done a great job." Yeah, so all you fathers out there, God bless you just as well as you mothers. I know you mothers, I know that sounds so strange. I shouldn't be saying that in church. You started it, Yuli. Okay. So today is going to be more like a story time. And I say that it's not your normal service again, who knew, but keeping it in the context of the divine feminine, because we're talking about the many aspects of the divine feminine this month. So you're going to get a bunch of different talks and messages from a lot of different people. But today I'm bringing you a story about one of what I consider to be the finest metaphysicians in New Thought history, finest female metaphysicians in New Thought history. Back, and I had to count it on my fingers, 27 years ago, religious science, New Thought, don't catch the side angle, that's like the double chin, right? So 27 years ago, I started with religious science. And we had this class, first or second class, I don't remember what it was. It was called Roots. I don't know if they have it anymore. Thank you, Marcy. And I don't know if they have it anymore, but we discussed her, and we discussed her power. And then a couple years later in practitioner studies, we talked about her again. And as a matter of fact, she was a huge piece in the development and the expansion of New Thought. She was a writer, she was a feminist, she was a mystic, she was a teacher of teachers, she was a healer. This woman was everything. And this was early 1800s. She was her own person. She was called a teacher of teachers because her students, many of her students, went on to open their own centers and become prominent in the New Thought movement. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But who am I talking about? Emma Curtis Hopkins. Girl did her practitioner studies. Yeah. She was born Josephine Emma Curtis in 1849. So some of the things say it was 1853. Some of the history says it was 1849. And the records back then, they're a little sketchy. So you pick. So she was raised on a farm in a small town in Connecticut. Right? Raised on a farm, small town, Connecticut. She loved to read and inhale knowledge. She learned to speak Greek at a very early age. Hell, I'm Greek, and I didn't even learn to speak Greek at an early age at all. So she was born into the age of New Thought philosophies through the work of our New Thought founders. Who was the father of New Thought? Does anybody know that? Mitch, you don't count. Anybody else know? So remember this name, Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, along with others such as Emerson, Thoreau, Whitman, Judge Thomas Troward, and Mary Baker Eddy, who founded Christian Science. And she had quite the story herself. If you ever get a chance, take a look at what her story was. She didn't just become a healer at the top of Christian Science for no reason. She had a reason to. So when we go through all that junk in our lives and the stuff starts happening and throwing up the dust, there's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. Because there is a greater, higher something that's trying to happen through us when that junk shows up. Yeah. Anyway, all of these people were a part of a group called Transcendentalists and New Thought, right? And they based their philosophy on the ancient idea of the law of correspondence. Anybody know the law of correspondence? Law of correspondence says the microcosm, which is us, the person, reflects the macrocosm, which is spirit, essence, right? So when we think our thoughts and we feel our feelings, it goes into the macrocosm, which reflects us back what we were feeling into it. And then depending on what we've got here, we reflect that back to the macrocosm. And unless we break the cycle, if it doesn't feel good, well, we just keep going back and forth and back and forth. This philosophy supported the dignity and the worth of an individual. The dignity and the worth of an individual, and that was new compared to what some of the old religions were saying. Old Testament, anybody? Right? So dignity. And the new message carried a possibility of hope. Of hope. There's hope and a love of God. A love of God, not a fear of God, which is what most of the populations were living with up until that point in time. And the Transcendentalists, New Thought in the early 1800s, it was coming out. It was huge. And people were attracted to this because they were tired of the old ways and thinking that they were bad or they were dirty or they were naughty or not worthy. Like, how many of us come to New Thought feeling like we're not worthy, right? We need to, yeah. So anyway, back to Mrs. Hopkins. So she wasn't Mrs. Hopkins just yet. She became a school teacher because she loved to learn. She loved to read, so she wanted to teach. So she became a school teacher. Then she met George Hopkins. She married George Hopkins, became Emma Curtis Hopkins. They had a son. He passed away when he was 30. Side note on that, I have no information about him. I could not find it. But the two of them got married, and because it was early 1800s, the law dictated, you know, the woman's role was in the home. Once she became pregnant, she had to stop working. She had to stop doing what she loved. But Emma and George started to live separate lives, you know, two ships in the night. And eventually George filed for divorce on the grounds of abandonment, is what I understand. But then Emma Curtis Hopkins, Emma got sick. She got sick, and she was having problems with breathing, and the doctors were not helping her then. By the way, just so you know, spiritual mind treatment, I know that sounds weird. This is where it comes from, is back then. When you went to the doctor would give the body a treatment. And then you get the New Thought and the Transcendentalists that would treat the spirit. They would treat the mind. Okay? So it is nothing more than a medical treatment turned spiritual treatment for the mind and for spirit. So it's nothing weird, nothing strange. It's just an 1880s term that we've carried forward with us. But anyway, she got really sick, and she heard that down the road, there was a lady that was a Christian Scientist. And these people were healers. So Emma, being Emma, you don't put Emma in a box. Emma does what Emma wants to do when Emma wants to do it. In the early 1800s, she says, I'm going to go get me a healing. And so she walks down the road, and she goes and sees this woman, and a healing occurs in the body. A healing occurs, and she is like, what just happened to me? I received a healing. How did that happen? I want to know how that happened, and I want to do it too. Okay, so you know what she did? She went straight to the top. Just like Emma. She wasn't going to mess with the middleman. She went straight to the top. Who'd she go see? Who'd she go see? Who's the top of Christian Science? Mary Baker Eddy. Thank you. Okay, so for all you didn't know, Mary Baker Eddy was the top Christian Science. She was a very stern woman, but with all of the things that she had been through and all the healings that had occurred, no wonder. So she went up to see Mary Baker Eddy. Mary Baker Eddy liked her, and they started to develop a friendship, and she became a student of Mary Baker Eddy, and darn, she was good. She was good, and Mary Baker Eddy came to her one day, and she said, you know, I think you would be great as an editor for the Christian Science Journal. Okay. So Emma is now the editor for the Christian Science Journal. I have no idea how long. So in 1886, Mary Baker comes to her and says, "You're out of here. You're done. I don't need you as an editor anymore." And I'm reading, and I'm like, why? You know, there's little bits here and little bits there. Well, there was a split between the two, and those were pretty big, too, for there to be a split between. So there got to be a reason. This is what I think happened. This is what I think happened. You know that little game you play with the little cup, you put it in somebody's ear and you whisper something, and by the end it gets all the way around to the table, and there was some other, so anyway. So this is what I think happened. Emma Curtis Hopkins, well, let me start with Mary Baker Eddy. Mary Baker Eddy believed that she was the only person that Christian Science was revealed to, and that her word was the final word, right? Well, Emma Curtis Hopkins, so what would we call that? We would call that closed at the top, right? That's it. I'm closed at the top. Emma, she's like so excited. She felt that truth had been revealed to many people over history, and that truth was available to everyone. To everyone, right? She was reading everything that she could get her hands on, right? I don't think Mary Baker Eddy liked that at all, because Mary Baker Eddy was closed at the top, but Emma Curtis Hopkins was what? She was open at the top. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, that's kind of like what we do around here. And I was talking to a minister last week, and she said that she thinks that Emma Curtis actually put some of her stuff that she was finding in that Christian Science Journal. And Mary Baker Eddy is like not having it, right? And also Emma Curtis, she also said that Emma Curtis used to, there was a train that would come through, and transcontinental, is that what that was? Transcontinental train, and would come through, and Emma would get on the train, and it would come to a stop, and she'd get off that train, and she would start talking about the New Thought movement and transcendentalism, and people, she would gather these big crowds of people, and she'd get back on the train, she'd go to the next stop, she'd get off, and she'd do the same thing, back and forth. She was an amazing woman, so innovative. She was also a writer, so she wrote a lot of different books, and in all of her books, she has lessons. They called them lessons. And chapter 1 through 6 was about developing the consciousness, that connection with spirit and expansion. And lessons 7 through 12 were where she taught to apply the truths out in the world. Some of her writings were scientific Christian mental practice, self-treatments, including The Radiant I Am, High Mysticism, and a practice book for the 12 chapters in High Mysticism. Doesn't that sound cool? High Mysticism? Yeah, I love that. It does. It sounds cool. So Emma's innovative ideas and policies, they built the foundation that provided the organizational structure of New Thought in the United States. 1800s, female, huge. She had study groups throughout the United States. She had study groups throughout Europe. She was just amazing in what she did. She actually became an honorary president of INTA, I-N-T-A, International New Thought Association, and it is still going strong today. And listen closely to this. Emma insisted that her students already knew everything that she was teaching them. Well, let's see. If there's one mind, this mind is God, this mind is all there is, and it created everything, and it's its own creation. That means each and every one of us are its spiritual DNA. We have that spark within us, which is its DNA. And if it is all-powerful, and all-knowing, that means it knows everything. That means within each of us in that spark, we know everything too. And that's where she was coming from. We already know everything. And it wasn't so much a matter of learning, but it was a matter and is a matter of recalling and remembering that spiritual instinct that is born within each one of us. She had a great sense of integrity towards her students because she felt that everybody is the expression of God. And to her, the teaching was more important than the teacher. No ego there. No ego. It wasn't about her. It was about spirit and the expansion of spirit. However, she did insist upon discipline to train the mind to think in a certain way. You got your practitioners and you got your ministers, and we all have fun. We're a fun group of people, and at the same time, we know truth and we have to walk in it. And when that stuff comes up in our face, we have to hold strong to that faith of God that everything is working out exactly the way that it needs to. It is not an easy path. We all been through our junk too, and some of us still going through it, right? We you. Yeah. So she challenged her students to prove out the truth principles out in their daily lives. She challenged them. So you make the prayer, you do the work, you expand the consciousness. This is what we all do here, what we learn in our classes. You just heard of oh gosh, there she is. Emma. Yeah. Thanks, Marcy, you did good. Yeah. She challenged her students to prove out the truth principles, make the prayer, and then go out into the world. Go out in the world and prove it. Demonstrate it. During this time, like we said before, women were discounted and their place was in the home. Emma did not fit into that box, and Emma did not fit into that mold. She taught and over 50,000 individuals and ordained women as ministers. Back then, women as ministers, she sure did. And that was New Thought. That's what we do, and it's still with us. And this was 30 years before women could even vote. 30 years before they even were authorized to vote. So some of her students went on to establish schools and churches like Divine Science, the Home of Truth, Unity, Religious Science, people like Emily Cady, the Fillmores, Ernest Holmes, were all her students. She came first. So metaphysically, she acknowledged 3 sciences. The first science was the physical science that we live here with, the wind, the plants, the birds, the physical science that we live in. The second one, I can count, the second one was mental science, and that is we are made up of our thought. All that we are is made up of thought. And let's see, that means that thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. Oh my gosh, is this starting to sound familiar? 1800s forward. And then 3 was the mystical science, which she emphasized deals with the hidden, unspoken, and invisible. Because that's what we deal with, don't we? It comes from the invisible, right? Spirit, invisible. And it goes over here to what? The visible, right? Cause, first cause, God. Remember, we talked about kicking our toe in the wall, right? I kick my toe, cause, my toe is broken. Effect, cause and effect. So like the light, it goes from the invisible. We can't see the electricity, but once we flip that switch on, boom, we got light. From the unseen to the seen. So those were her 3 sciences that she works with. She drew from the Bible, the non-Christian scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, ancient Greek and Roman mythologies, and the world's great philosophers and saints. So I don't know that she coined the phrase, but she sure did bring in the concept, was the first one to bring in the concept of the divine feminine. We throw that term around all the time. Divine feminine, divine feminine. Well, guess what? That's where it came. 1800s forward. She rejected the traditional Christian notion of sin. 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 What do we call sin around here? Wait. I'm so confused. A mistake. Thank you. She's got her practitioner. Oh, man, she remembers her stuff. So sin. Sin is a mistake. I made a heck of a mistake, right? Oopsie. I do it again. I'm not damned to hell. I'm not. I change my thinking. I change my life, and I do something differently. Yeah. Amen. Yeah, hallelujah. 1924. Okay, get this. Ernest Holmes was her very last student. Very last student. He got to work with her for a year. That's almost kind of creepy when you think about it. What if he didn't? What if he didn't? Well, Spirit would have found another reason. He definitely had a purpose. But really, if you get down there. So anyway, Ernest Holmes in 1924, fast forward to the early 1900s, went to Emma Curtis Hopkins, and he wanted to be her student. And he described her as a stately woman who always wore a long dress, an elegant hat, and white gloves. What a beauty, isn't she? In 1925, okay, so he studied with her for a year. In 1925, she says, you know, I know it's coming. She's in her early 70s, maybe mid. I know that I'm getting ready to make my transition. She went home to the farm. She was with her sisters. She says, hey, I'm home. I'm going upstairs. I'm getting ready to pass over. And they say, okay. She says, by the way, go get Miss Mel, who is in Boston. She was what they called at that time a teacher of truth. I think that's kind of like a practitioner now. Go get Miss Mel. Tell her I'm getting ready to go, and bring her back. So they went. They got Miss Mel. They brought her back. Upstairs, Miss Mel went, and Emma was in bed. And she said, hi there. She said, can you please read for me some of my metaphysical books? Sure. So she sat down, and she read to her for about an hour or so. And then she said, you know, I need you to pick up the Bible, and I want you to read for me John 17. Okay. And this is what it said. These words spake Jesus, and lifted up his eyes to heaven, and said, Father, the hour is come, glorify thy Son, that thy Son may also glorify thee. And when she finished the verse, she put down the Bible and turned around, and sure enough, Emma Curtis Hopkins had made her transition. I thought that was kind of cool. What a beautiful way to go. She knew it was coming. This is a woman who knew what she wanted from the very beginning, who made a difference for so many women, for so many men. I mean, for gosh sakes, we have unity in religious science because she was the one that was the teacher. Beautiful, beautiful woman. So her sister had an Episcopalian church service for her, and somebody had said, well, it's kind of weird. But the response, and I don't know who the response was from, said that an Episcopalian church service would not have been a problem to Mrs. Hopkins. She believed that God was everywhere present. Yeah. Isn't that what we talk about here? Yeah. So Emma Curtis Hopkins had done so much for New Thought movement, showing the power and the intelligence that a woman has. She was way ahead of her time and made the way for the rest of us. Ernest Holmes learned from her. That was 1924. He wrote the text, I believe it was close to 1938. Can you imagine the difference it could have made for so many of us had it not even been written? New Thought leader and spiritual powerhouse, Emma Curtis Hopkins. Thank you. And so it is.
Wow. Every time somebody talks, I get all the talks here make me kind of jittery, feeling the energy in the space. So, so it's time for a joyful time of giving, and I just want to talk a little bit about how we do that, and that we are here, we are this space. And as Reverend Pixie was talking, let's give us another hand for Reverend Pixie, everybody. As she was talking, what I got, and so I'm just going to say it because it's not me talking, it's spirit, is that yes, we are here in the physical, and here in the physical, we live in the physical all the time, but I know that when we come here, we get into the spiritual and the mental, so that when I go out into the physical, I'm doing a lot better than I did before. Okay, so it's time for a joyful time of giving, and it is really the sacred space that we are here. And so the way that you can help us, just be here and create the space for that physical to become holy through what we experience and do here. So so these are the ways that you can support us. I'm not going to, you can send us a check, you can do it through your phone, you can do it through our I'm still jittery. You can do it through our website. There are many, many ways that you can support this mental, spiritual space so that your physical is much more holy. I'd like to invite Tammy up to do the spiritual mind treatment for us.
If you could please take your tithes, put it to your heart. As we bless our gifts, our time, our tithes, our loving thoughts out into the world, we spread it, and it comes back to us a million times better. And we're so grateful for everything that you give to the center. Helps us pay our rent. It helps us keep this beautiful space open for healing and joy and fun and laughter and communion. Brings music, brings just loving thoughts, safe place. And just say with me, repeat after me. My time and tithes, my gifts and love, are spread out to the Imani Center, our community, around the planet, and comes back to me a million times, filling my life with joy and happiness. And so it is.
Okay, so it's time for the presence is here. Let's do that together and invite Ascension to guide us in that. The presence is here. You'll see it on your screen.
The presence is here. The presence is
so I know in the peace and the power and the goodness and the glory that each one of you are in your life, that this week you just move forward in it, be it, as it. Together we say, and so it is.